Fire, fire, fire.
What is this? They have to ruin everything. He's talking about VTubers. We do tend to do that.
I don't think I could properly prepare you for the level of brain damage that I'm about to inflict upon you today.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, James Bond doesn't belong in video games, let alone even his own. Why, might you ask? Well, that's because a writer thought it was worth writing about, believing that James Bond is this unrealistic level of man that is nothing that anybody should be trying to aspire to, doesn't really fit in modern society, and therefore should be replaced.
What's wrong with James Bond? He's just a dude who is a spy. What?
With something a little bit more relatable, like you and I, or maybe a Reddit mod. If there is one trend in modern media and entertainment that I just cannot stand, it is this constant need for critics, or for creators in some cases, to either degrade, replace, or dismantle basically every single aspirational character or hero that we've ever had in entertainment. And this is something that we constantly see. And it ends up being that we end up getting a collection of flaws more than we actually do characters anymore. This is all in an attempt to try to just lower the bar of social
I just think that people self-insert themselves into characters way too hard, and when it doesn't meet the criteria, they're like, no, we can't have this character in the game anymore. No.
Expectations for everybody across the board. Get rid of any exaggerated traits. Try to make everything average. Try to make everything as generic as possible, because that's how a lot of these people end up viewing the world. That's the only way for some of these people to be able to connect with a lot of this media. And I think that's terrible. I think that it's had a massive effect on society. I think not having these kind of people to look up to, these characters that we've created to look up to, has done a lot of damage.
People used to look up to like fairy tale characters. Like, it's the same thing. You look up to virtuous characters that are good, they do cool things, they usually have either superhuman strength or like capabilities. There's nothing wrong with that.
And on top of that, it's
I
also
looked up to
constantly
Goku.
sending this
When you're a
message
kid, you
of,
just do that.
it's not just okay for you to be who you are. It's not just okay for people to accept who you are. No, it's that the world needs to reflect who you are.
That's so
and that's
weird.
Narcissism.
Yeah.
Enabled at every turn, in media, in social media, in entertainment, and it's just not good. So today, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about how James Bond apparently doesn't belong in his own game, how we've seen this across various forms of media already in tons of different franchises, what kind of effect this has had on people, and why, for just please, video game developers, don't listen to the media. Like
but
that even needs to be
that's
said.
the problem, though.
Just a quick shout out to Starforge Systems. Thank them.
That's the problem. They do listen to journalists. That's why they make a gameplay showcase for God of War that's 20 minutes of gameplay, but it's not actually 20 minutes. It's more like 15 minutes of cinematic gameplay.
For sponsoring today's video. If you guys are in the market for a new PC, some of the best, if not the best builds on the market, go ahead and check out the link down below. I'll pin it in the comment as well. I have been in love with my Starforge PC. I cannot thank these guys enough for sending me one. I can promise you guys right now, if you want a good PC, these are the guys to go to. As a kid, I had heroes. I think that most of us did. I thought that Goku was the coolest guy in the world. He was always focused on getting stronger, always putting everybody else before himself, always losing, getting back up, and then finding some way to come back even stronger than before. And there was something in that for me, that ability to persevere, to be on the edge of failure, on the edge of despair, and then still find some way to pull yourself back up and push your way through. Characters that strong end up inspiring an entire generation of kids.
And even kids that are not Japanese love Goku, bro. Like, that was the whole point. I remember in school seeing boys drawing Goku. They didn't look like Goku. They just wanted to be Goku.
One of them, and while I eventually gave up on trying to learn the instant transmission, those lessons about perseverance absolutely affected me as I got older. James Bond is another one of those characters. I've always been a fan of the Pierce Brosnan era, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day. To me, Bond was just a good one. Insanely cool. A guy that just seemed to always have a plan, never folded under pressure, always carried himself like a professional. He could talk to anyone, adapt to anything, somehow have an answer for every situation. And yeah,
and there was hot chicks in the movies.
he got the girl every single time. I mean, what guy wouldn't want to be James Bond? Well, apparently PC Gamer doesn't. Recently, previews started rolling out for IO Interactive's upcoming James Bond game, 007 First Light, and the reception for it has been incredibly positive, which honestly I'm finding a little bit surprising given how skeptical people were right when the game was first announced. But so far, I've watched Luke Stevens and Jakey's previews, and both of these guys came away with glowing praise. A lot of creators did. The common thread seems to be that this game is landing in this really promising space between Hitman and Uncharted, an origin story for a new 007 built around freedom, cinematic action, and a Bond who actually seems to be likable. And as it seems to be the current trend lately, this stuff is getting way too predictable at this point. But while creators walked away impressed, some of the media took what they saw and somehow came to the dumbest conclusion possible. James Bond apparently doesn't belong in video games. In an article from PC Gamer written by Joshua Wallens titled, "Hear Me Out, What If James Bond Shouldn't Be in Video Games?" he writes, "I played a good few hours of 007 First Light last week. And
the game is not for you, brother. Don't play these games.
I encourage you to click the link and read all about what I thought of them. But my time with Jim Bond sparked other thoughts that probably don't belong in
you probably got stuck on like the tutorial, motherfucker.
Preview. Thoughts like, what if James Bond just shouldn't be a video game protagonist? Part of this as well, he's annoying. That might scan differently to non-Brits or indeed anyone who doesn't share my particular brand of class psychosis, but James Bond is an insufferable public school dickhead. He's a rowing club tour.
This dude who wrote this must have like actual trauma from his school bully or something. I thought he wasn't a... Wait, I thought he was like a charming, you know, like a suave dude.
Boy through and through, and he comports himself like a man who has a right to the earth and everybody on it.
Holy projection, Batman.
Which is quite fun for a 90 to 120 minute movie where he's surrounded by numerous other people who can roll their eyes at him whenever he opens his mouth. In a video game for 10, 20, 30, 40 hours, less so, especially less so in something like First Light, where a lot of his cocky one-liners and general swagger are delivered to empty rooms and enemy corpses.
But Leon does that too in like Resident Evil, the newer ones. Granted, I have my own criticism of that because, like, in the old versions, like, he's talking to characters when he delivers those stupid one-liners. But Leon is hotter. I don't think James Bond is bad looking.
Where no one, save the player, can tell him to give it a damn rest.
But Leon does that too. What? Other characters do that too.
But also part of his charismatic arrogance is that he's suave and unflappable. Well, great, good for him. I'm not suave and I flap at the slightest inconvenience. I simply don't fit into him. I should probably reword that. Whenever I, as Bond, fumble a counter, miss a shot, or try to duck into cover only to fling myself headfirst into a desk lamp, I break the entire spell of the character.
So you suck at the game and you're blaming... I gotta take off my glasses for this one. I'm actually rubbing my eyes. What do you mean? Yeah, holy self-report, right? Like, did you just not say that you suck at the game?
I think that this is such a perfect example.
What? Is he ugly? No, he looks cool. He looks like a Joe Schmo. This looks like a dude you'd meet at like a coffee shop and he'd be like, oh, excuse me, sorry. He's got a little scar on his face, you know, he's been through it. Literally, you could see this type of dude at a coffee shop and he'd be like, oops, sorry, excuse me. Squeezing right past you. And then he goes and hands like a coffee to his girlfriend or something. Like, what the fuck?
Example of the exact kind of criticism that just is so unbearable in modern media. What is this? I can't personally relate to this character, therefore this character is the problem.
They put Claudette from DBD in her game.
The entire point of a character like James Bond is that he is not you. He is not supposed to represent your daily emotional state. He is not supposed to be stumbling around awkwardly, second-guessing himself and apologizing for his own existence. He is James Bond. The whole fantasy is that this dude is suave, composed, arrogant, dangerous, charming, and absurdly capable in ways that most people never will be. That's why people people like him. People have understood this. Everybody has understood this for decades now. Nobody watched 007 defuse a bomb, jump off a dam, steal a jet ski, walk into a casino, order a martini, and then immediately thought, yeah, but...
And then plow the hot chick that everybody wants to.
How does this reflect my personal relationship with class anxiety? Dude, get the fuck out of here.
I can't self-insert. I'm dead. He's too perfect.
It's always these people that are saying, let me cook, that have no business being in the kitchen. I tell you what.
Oh my God, true.
I think this is where so much modern criticism has just completely lost the plot at this point. It doesn't even really represent anybody, and it definitely does a lot of harm to a lot of these games. It's taking these characters that are meant to be exaggerated or iconic, and it's just dragging these guys off into
Is this buggy like Star Wars Outlaws where the guards bug out when you go into the bushes?
Little room where they have to have every single trait pathologized. Confidence is arrogance, charm is entitlement, masculinity, of course.
Oh, it doesn't look like it works as intended.
Everything has to be reduced.
A little scuff, but not that bad. Yeah, not like that bad. You can't be that
character when you're not supposed to be that character. We have seen this happen with basically every single kind of aspirational character. People do it with Goku all the time. Instead of looking at him as this absurd, larger-than-life symbol of perseverance, self-improvement, sacrifice, and refusing to stay down, they go, you know, actually, Goku's a bad...
Actually, you being so perseverant and having so much hope in your heart, that's so unrealistic.
Father. Okay, sure, fine. If you want to flatten an entire character into a family court case, you can go ahead and do that, but that's just such a boring way to engage with something that was never meant to be inspected like that. Goku is inspirational not because he has
Why did people fucking want to self-insert as Kratos, like a literal fucking god that can punch people through the earth? Like, bro, what are we talking about?
Perfect domestic life.
What's wrong
because,
with that?
Well, he just keeps going. No matter how strong the enemy is, no matter how badly he loses, no matter how impossible the fight was, he gets back up and he pushes his limit way past what everybody thought he could. That's the whole reason people connect with it. That's why people get excited about these characters. Bond is similar in that. Bond isn't cool because he's this morally perfect human being that none of us are, by the way.
Yeah.
He is cool.
No, actually, I am. I virtue signal about it on Twitter. Yeah, nobody knows about the ghosts in my closet, bro.
Because he represents composure under pressure, style, nerve, competence, a fantasy of being able to walk into a room where everybody wants you dead, but you are still the one that's acting like you're in control. That doesn't need to be dragged down to this level of, well, actually, I fall apart at the first sign of mild inconvenience, so I can't relate to him. What are we doing at this point?
It's so
Look,
strange,
people, not
man.
every character needs to be a reflection of your own insecurities. Not every power fantasy should be sanded down until it represents the average person that's scrolling Twitter.
I don't want to play. Like, this actually kind of boils down to why we're getting chicks that are, like, uglier and uglier in every sequence of, like, of the new games where they just have, like, they're either huge or they're unrealistically huge. And like in Horizon Zero Dawn, set in a post-apocalyptic world, and one of the playable characters is this huge lady, and you think to yourself, like, why did they put a character like this in the game? Is this counterintuitive? Like, you're in a post-apocalyptic world, but somehow we have a character that's huge. She's an obese fat woman, and you're running around with a peg in your leg? Yeah.
In their sweatpants at age 30 wearing a SpongeBob
huge or
shirt,
fat?
probably
No,
planning
fucking
their next
huge
Disney
fat.
trip.
Fat huge.
Sometimes entertainment
Big girl.
just needs to be fun. Sometimes a character is just needs to be cool. Sometimes that's the entire point. The whole point is that
I want these people want to Reddit insert themselves talking to a woman and failing so badly in a video game. They can't stand that, like, a virtual character is somehow good at talking to women in a video game.
You're not already like them, but maybe some part of you
they get
wants to be.
jealous.
I feel like this is trying to send a vegan to go review a steakhouse. What are we doing here?
True.
What is with this media obsession of wanting to send people who are obviously not very interested in the thing that they are going to preview or review to a lot of these events? This person seems like they don't even like James Bond. Why would you send somebody like that? Why wouldn't you want to instead, this is just an idea, maybe send somebody who actually has some level of excitement or some level of expertise, and they want to look at the franchise through that scope, examine it or scrutinize it in some way to figure out whether or not it stacks up with the rest of the legacy. That sounds a lot cooler than somebody trying to decide whether or not Bond should be in his own games. You know, this is one of the reasons why I feel like nuance is just dead in the games industry anymore.
Would you feel differently if it was a female Bond for some reason? How would that be different from like them self-inserting as a woman that's doing the exact same thing? Do they want it to be like a wimpy little guy? He would love it, but she's good at what she's doing. Then, like, what's the point? Then keep it the same then.
Nothing is allowed to exist in simplicity. It always has to have a deeper meaning.
He would hate
Dumb
it,
and
probably.
cool always has to be put through a microscope to figure out whether or not it actually engages in the proper way with your class dynamics. It's so insufferable. And it has nothing to do, it doesn't reflect at all what players are actually interested in, what they're looking for right now, what they want from their video games. They want entertainment. They want something cool. They want something fun. They want something that's outside of their life. They want something like James Bond. This is just another example of how far out of step the media has become with players today, and players' tastes are the things that we're thinking about. Common people in a lot of cases. And their expectations, our expectations are just completely different at this point. And
I feel like if I told my parents, like my dad who likes James Bond movies and he likes the parodies of the James Bond movies, what are they called? Oh gosh. The one with the old guy and the hot chick and it's a big, no, not Austin Powers, the Naked Gun, that was it. Naked Gun. My dad loves that. I wonder what he would think if he read this review of a guy complaining that James Bond is too good at what he does. He'd probably call it Dol Bayoup. I don't know, just a fucking idiot, man. Like, what are you fucking doing? Like, don't watch it, don't play it?
I think one of the reasons why you see something like this, an article like this, get a lot of attention online, which it did when you go and look at Twitter, there's a lot of people that are really upset about it. The reason why is because while people are afraid that opinions like this are going to shape their games. And well, as history has shown, they do. It's like over time, people shifted away from the idea of not wanting to expect more from themselves to not only the world not expecting more from them, but also the world not showing them anything.
And the world has to change to cater to them. That's the sad part. Everything has to be hug boxed. Everything has to remind me that, like, I'm a loser. I'm a fat fucking chud and shit. Like, I just want to play a game with a cool character.
More than themselves. That social standard being lowered, like I had said before. And it's getting to the point now where we just don't even have very many examples of people better than us, because a lot of people don't want that. And that sucks, because it's obviously had an effect. I don't think I would even have brought this up or talked about this topic if I didn't feel like it had some historical relevance, but seriously, this is becoming a problem now. We're in a writing crisis in the games industry, basically across every single sector, and we've been watching now for years as social media and legacy media have been distorting what players actually want from the games that they buy, and it's making parts of the gaming space, especially at a AAA level, feel barely recognizable anymore.
Yeah.
Eastern games, I think, have largely been able to ignore that trend, likely coming down to cultural differences.
Yeah, because, for example, Goku came from Japan. People still enjoy that shit over there. They still do. It went international. People clearly really enjoy the media of a big, strong male character.
Guys are just ignoring all the noise and trying to make the best games that they can,
soy
even
shit,
when they're
man.
facing backlash over their characters, narratives, or whatever else
space.
it might be.
You know
See
what I
Stellar
mean,
Blade
you
or Black
dummy.
Myth Wukong, maybe more
You silly
recently
goober.
something like Pragmata with its father-daughter-like dynamic somehow being turned into one of the most unhinged controversies I've seen in years.
Never forget, man. Never forget how they tried to fetishize her.
But still, these games knew exactly what they were, who they were for, and why people were excited about them. That's why those games still found success. Western games, they have had a much harder time. Now, I brought this up in a recent video, but I really want to reiterate this because I think it's an important point to make. A lot of people are going to try to wave this off as purely politically charged in a lot of cases. There's obviously going to be some of that influence, but I think a lot of this is just coming down to a severe lack of talent and originality from the people that are either making or criticizing entertainment. People that are just so desperate to reach beyond simple enjoyment, digging deeper, looking for a deeper meaning that just isn't there or doesn't belong there, while also harboring some very obvious disdain for the original work itself. On the media side, we've been going through this for years. Mashable in 2018 writing about the dismantling of
God of War depicts the disease and destruction of toxic masculinity, the symbolic journey of killing the father. Someone's dad didn't really love them that much, huh? We saw it today. Well, I mean, this is from 2018. I don't know. When was the last one?
Saying that God of War depicts the
How?
disease and destruction of toxic masculinity, the
is.
symbol of the journey of killing the father. Okay, sure. God of War does have deeper themes. Nobody's going to deny that.
Yeah,
but
sure.
There is a difference between analyzing a story and trying to drag it into a culture war. The story can't just...
No, it's not even a culture war. It's just them self-inserting their awkward, barely disguised, like, trauma.
Be about a father trying to change. It has to be a lecture about how the last thing, the original thing, was bad, how this replacement is so much better, and then somehow including or dragging in their own personal trauma. And now we're seeing that exact same instinct with Bond. In December of last year, the narrative and cinematic director of 007 First Light said that while Bond is still very much a womanizer, he needs to reflect modern values. Which values, though? Are, I couldn't tell you, but he said that so he's evolved through the decades, and obviously we reflect modern values, so it's not going to be your old school Bond, which would just be tone deaf in this day, right?
Who said that? Who the fuck said that it's... Who said it's tone deaf? What are we talking about? Modern values for a dude? Isn't everybody, like, banging each other, like, all the fucking time? Isn't that modern values nowadays? Like, girls can go out and bang dudes however much they want? What? Are they saying that's now the opposite for dudes? Like, I thought we were all about, like, progressiveness and, like, everybody can bang everybody. Chad wouldn't know. I mean, like, I don't either. I'm just saying, like, I thought that was, like, the whole point. You know, 1 in 6 or 1 in 8 women have an OF type of shit. I thought we were all about that.
He's a modern guy. What does that even mean? I mean, in my experience, the idea of a modern man in entertainment is rarely reflective of reality. It usually just means these guys are going to be lowering the fantasy to where they assume the audience is, even though there's nobody there. Again, I'm going to go back and say that this has more to do with a lack of talent and listening to the wrong type of critics. Characters change all the time. Bond has changed all the time. Every single actor has brought something different. Connery was not Moore. Moore wasn't Dalton. Dalton wasn't Brosnan. Brosnan wasn't Craig. There were tonal shifts. There were world changes. There were style changes. That stuff is normal, especially with long-running franchises.
Yeah, Doctor Who runs into the same problem, too, because you're, like, living on the legacy of the next one, and vice versa. Like, you have a new Bond. Like, yeah, people criticize you, but, like, this is so weird.
I think the difference here is updating a character versus feeling like you need to apologize for them. And that's the stuff that I'm the most sick of. This is getting so exhausting for me. I mean, look at how often these video game adaptations seem embarrassed of the video game part. The Halo showrunner said that they didn't even look at the game because they didn't want to be limited by
The Witcher, Halo, what other games? What other adaptations? Oh, Harry Potter, the new Harry Potter. The dudes literally said that they wouldn't read the books. Yeah, the fuck took off his helmet. Yeah, dude. Master Chief. It's called source material. Yeah, like, yeah, I didn't read Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I just didn't read it. I think it sucks. I'm gonna do my own thing.
The
Star
video games
Wars,
material.
yeah.
The Far Cry series that's coming isn't going to be adapting any of the games because, well, they don't feel like that naturally translates into drama because people can skip cutscenes in video games. And now the Mass Effect show, the exact same.
Oh, but then they make them unskippable, like, quote-unquote gameplay cutscenes. Remember that?
thing is being made for non-gamers. Why?
Mass Effect, of all games, like, Mass Effect was one of the most outstanding games that affected, like, the entire probably 2000s to 2010s. What do you mean for non-gamers? Even games that, like, I didn't play Mass Effect, but I knew of it because it had such an a massive impact on the gaming sphere.
Why are you guys
People aspire to be like Mass Effect storytelling and like dialogue options and writing and script writing, bro.
This? And this is the mindset that I'm talking about. The original work is getting treated like it doesn't really match up with what people actually need today. The characters are becoming something that they have to soften or manage or apologize for instead of simply understand. And I think that's the part that players are becoming hypersensitive to at this point. They can tell when a franchise is evolving because it actually has a strong idea, and they can also tell when a franchise is being softened because somebody in the room is embarrassed of the original fantasy.
Dude, it's not softened. It's literally a pile of goop on the floor at this point.
Nobody
Ew.
wants to see themselves reflected in media. Narcissists do. Nobody wants to see everything, and it's all just a constant self-reflection or a collection of self-depreciating characters because the people who criticize and create these games and media feel bad about themselves. That's why articles like this always end up getting under people's skin, and it's not because PC Gamer has all this power and influence. It's just because this industry has a habit of treating this kind of media discomfort like it's a legitimate criticism. A critic will say that this character's annoying, that it needs to be a little bit more relatable. A consultant comes in and says this fantasy is outdated or offensive.
Dude, we didn't used to have these fucking fake jobs, fucking game journalist, media consultant. Like I just let the gamers be gamers. Who gives a fuck?
And goes viral for calling out the history of the franchise on Twitter, and suddenly this studio is deciding the safest option is to make that character less confident, less direct, and more believable. And all these people then go and act shocked when the audience doesn't actually show up for the final product because they just don't feel anything for it. They don't want it. They don't want to have anything to do with it because it's just not fun, it's not interesting, it's lazy and pathetic. Video games are literally built around you becoming somebody that you are not. Nobody plays a Bond game because they already feel like they're James Bond. They play it because they want to step into that fantasy for a couple of hours. A Bond game should make you feel like you are James Bond. The fact that that even needs to be said just shows just how far and how bad things have gotten at this point.
But if I didn't want to play a dad simulator, I'd go play the Silent Hill mom simulator. Like, if it's not your cup of tea to play, like Pragmata, like, some people didn't like it. Who gives a fuck, right? It's still an overall amazing game, right? But if it's not for you, go play something else.
None of this is at all representative of what people are actually looking for when they're playing these games or when they're engaging with any type of entertainment. I don't want to be in every game or movie or television show. I don't need it to reflect me in my life. I already have my life. I see it all the time. I don't need James Bond dragged down to my level so that I can relate to a man in a suit doing spy shit.
No, he has a six-pack and I don't have a six-pack, and he talks to hot women and gets laid, and that's so unrealistic. I have to watch two teenagers kissing while AC/DC is playing in the background. That's more relatable to me, guys.
I want a fantasy to be a fantasy. I want an exaggerated version of something. The hero, the spy, the professional, the guy that can walk into a room and just looks like he owns the entire place, because part of entertainment is being able to dream beyond yourself for a while. Sometimes that means looking at somebody that's better than you, cooler than you, more composed than you, and instead of resenting it, maybe the whole point is that you should be inspired by it a little. I think this is a few years ago, but they had a new He-Man television series that had came out by Kevin Smith, and in it, He-Man wasn't there at all. Basically, they killed the guy off in the first couple of episodes. And then
why did they do that? Dude, it reminds me of, like, you know, in Star Wars, when they just make, like, Luke be a fucking retard who drinks green milk. God, that was, like, the most obvious, like, we hate the legacy of Star Wars.
After that, they focused the entire thing on T-Ron.
I remember
we
that.
haven't seen something like that happen before. But one of the things that really caught me off guard and made me stop watching it was this whole thing where they basically reframed his secret identity that he had in place to be able to protect the people that he cared about the most so that they wouldn't be targeted by Skeletor. And well, they turned it into this entire storyline, this whole grievance over how it made everybody feel inadequate, how it made people
It's about He-Man. The supporting characters are supporting characters. What do you mean inadequate? What self-projection is this shit, man?
people feel lied to and betrayed in some way. It's so lame.
Huh?
You know, I feel like it's one of three things. You have people that just can't dream of anything greater, people that just aren't that creative. You have people that
Yo,
don't want to be
stick with the
compared to
raid. I
something
appreciate
greater.
it.
Or you have some people that just do not like the original thing itself and want to just dismantle or destroy it in some ways. So what they do is that they take this original art or this original work, and then they try to make it as cynical as possible. They try to humanize the hero in some cases, and they just completely invert whatever the original meaning was, whatever the original message.
And you know what's fucking dumb about this too? Like, She-Ra and He-Man are two sides of the same coin. They had their own lore, their own story, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure He-Man, the show and the movies were developed for, like, Mattel to sell more toys, and they double dipped, and it worked out for them with She-Ra when they started developing her. And everybody liked it. Nobody thought it was weird or like forced or that She-Ra isn't like cool enough or that He-Man was being put down. Like they were marketing things. They were literally marketing ads. Yeah, there were toy ads in the 80s and 90s. Aren't they siblings? I thought they were like cousins or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like they're related, but they actually made the lore like not weird and like forced.
Was, and it sucks. It ruins basically everything. And maybe this is my age showing, but I see a lot of the stuff that's going on with young dudes today, especially like the looks maxing stuff and things like that. Guys injecting chemicals and destroying their own bodies to be able to do whatever they can. And you know, I do think that this is somehow downstream of a lot of modern entertainment today because people just do not have a good idea of what heroes look like. Instead, heroes are, well, dudes on a cell phone screen in some cases. Don't worry.
Well, that's why we got like the She-Hulk who's twerking in the office in the TV show, because that's like more relatable than a woman being strong or something and complaining about how men are stinky and stupid and bad. Because that's relatable to these women. They don't have like any deeper thought than that of a fucking puddle.
I'm definitely not one of them, and I definitely don't plan to be either. But you know, while these different forms of media, while these different forms of entertainment, movies or whatever, these different characters that we had, while they're unrealistic, absolutely, they at least gave people a solid picture of something to try to strive for. While we know, people mostly know that these things are completely unrealistic, it still gives you a mental image of something better than yourself. And
yeah,
man, not having that, I think, has had a massive effect on people. You know, you drag that down the line and you look to see just how much of like modern media has failed today, how many flops there are for like movies and television shows and video games. And I think it goes to show that this is just not what the audience is looking for. Looking in the mirror really isn't all that entertaining. I would rather look inside of a world that is not my own. The last...
Why would you make an ugly VTuber avatar of yourself, unless it's for obviously for comedic effects? But I'm talking like, why would you make a character that looks not interesting? Also, who the fuck swapped me, by the way? Mods? Fucking take their balls. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, yeah, I never really got the notion of like, oh, I need to be like, you did? No, I didn't. Someone redeemed it. I didn't swap it. Fuck, what was I talking about? I was going on a tangent, but anyway, it just goes off to show, like, even for me as a girl, why the fuck would I self-insert as a non-attractive VTuber? That kind of defeats the purpose. I can be whatever I want. Like, look, wide berth and hips, a big old tail, big thighs. Like, what's wrong with that? I feel like you're just kind of being stupid. Yeah, there's a purpose to ugly VTuber models. Don't get me wrong. People do it ironically, but like when you're pissed and being like, oh, why won't anybody watch me if I'm not entertaining? Like, yeah, obviously you have a big fucking buff to being cool and cute and adorable and pretty on top of the personality that you should have. I want to be a chud, that's why. Yeah, I want to be a fat fucking chud.
Thing that I want to do.
Chibi's the exception? Yeah, but I said funny. Like, I said really funny. You have to have a really great personality in order to compensate for having, like, a silly, goofy model or something.
Do is look at a reflection of the clown world that I'm living in, because I'm going to tell you right now, that is definitely not entertaining. I mean, in some cases it can be, but for the most part, it's definitely
she's
not.
Cute and goofy, exactly.
Anyway, I
and
hope you guys
really
enjoyed
funny.
the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about all this. Do you guys think that James Bond belongs in a James Bond video
Yeah,
game.
no
Let me
shit.
know what you guys think's going on with everything else that's out there, and you'll catch another video this week. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Family, 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 family.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Go check out Mr. Legendary Drops. That was great. Great video. I can't fucking believe it. I played through the game and I suck at the game, guys. Fucking ridiculous. Defeats the purpose, bro. Like, even then, even if you argue and say like, oh, I don't want to play a man in a video game, like, every single dude I've ever known that plays like a female character, like say like a night elf in World of Warcraft, they play a hot night elf in World of Warcraft or a hot blood elf in World of Warcraft. Yes, I know it's frozen. Yes, I know. I'm waiting for it to come back. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I don't know. It's crazy, man. I don't get the logic, because there is none.
Oh, yeah.